nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
To put my little 2 cents in about Ralph Yarl. Now, Andrew Lester shot and wounded Ralph Yarl, once in the head and once in the right arm. The 16-year-old teen was going to pick up his brother. He went to the wrong home because he turned onto the wrong street. The 84-year-old was born in 1938 or 1939. So this male was seasoned in his hatred. It was like a second nature to him. He was in his 20s in 1959. So we know what was going on in those times, and we know why he reacted and why he did it. And the sheriff also said there was a racial component. We already knew that. He didn't have to say anything. Now, I picked this article from CNN because, again, the language behind this, and this was written by two colorless women. They shouldn't be writing articles, and it's the verbiage that is disgusting. Now it says, white homeowner. What the does him being a homeowner have to do with anything? Accused is not accused. He did. We know he did. Of shooting a black teen who went to the wrong house in Kansas City will face 2 felony charges. Finally, it took so much pressure to get them to arrest this criminal. The article says a colorless 84-year-old homeowner who shot and wounded Ralph Yarl, a black teen, after the 16-year-old went to the wrong home to pick up his siblings, will be facing the 2 felony charges. Clay County prosecutor, attorney Zachary Thompson, announced early Monday evening. He should have been arrested way before that. Andrew Lester will face charges of assault in the first degree and armed criminal action, which is nothing. Authorities has issued a warrant for his arrest, and he's not currently in custody. And Thompson said, I can tell you there was a racial component to this case. And since there's a racial component, he should be facing a hate crime. And nobody has said anything about a hate crime at all. The teen came to the wrong street and then pulled into the driveway, came up, rang the doorbell or knocked on the door. So he's sitting there waiting for the door to open so his twin brothers can come out. And basically the old man, the door was locked. It wasn't like somebody's trying to jimmy the lock, trying to get in. He was standing there patiently waiting. So if you really was that scared, because he said he was so scared, he had time to call the police, because what criminal is going to stand there in daylight and ring the doorbell and wait for you to come there? If you're afraid, you had plenty of time to call the police. But he came to the door with a .32 caliber revolver. And they said there's no video, but he shot through the glass door that was locked. His door was locked. The glass door was closed. The child was waiting there. The 16-year-old was waiting there. There was no reason for him to do what he did. Lester said that he was scared to death. Right. But if he was scared to death, what is the racial implications behind this? Why would there, if you're so scared, you wouldn't have time to think of that, say that, or imply that. He stated he believed someone was attempting to break into the house and shot twice through an exterior storm door within a few seconds of opening the main door. If somebody is trying to break into your house, you're going to go for your weapon and you're going to call the police, and you're going to hear somebody trying to pull on the door or trying to open. A liar. A effing liar. And the way this article is written is for the snowflakes, because it says, after the shooting, Lester repeatedly expressed concern for Ralph, according to the statement. Now, Ralph, the 16-year-old, said that he had pressed the doorbell and he waited. And he said it took a long time. So in that long time, he couldn't have called the police if he was so terrified. But he finally opened the door, holding the gun, and he immediately shot. And the 16-year-old was shot in the head. Lester shot the 16-year-old again, and it hit him in the right arm. And then the neighbors in the neighborhood said they did not hear the shooting because they were asleep. And then that they came outside and he was laying in the street surrounded by a few neighbors. Now, he survived it and he's come home from the hospital, but he's never going to be okay. He's never going to be the same again, because this disgusting, and I'll leave this article in the description. I can't read any more of this BS, because when I initially heard this story, this 16-year-old is gifted. This 16-year-old is very smart. He was on the marching band and he was a really good kid. And the way it was said was he opened the door, he shot through the glass door. The 16-year-old fell on the ground, but he got up and started running. He was knocking on the doors of the neighbors and they would not open the door and let him in. Eventually, somebody did open the door and try and help him. And I think he had to knock on 2 to 3 doors before he could get some help. I think he passed out. And the neighbors basically said, they look out for each other around here. So one of his family members said that he was probably afraid. He would never just shoot someone. He isn't racist, and that's what they're saying. But he does have a mixed race grandson who he doesn't have a relationship with, who has said that he watches Fox News and he has these crazy ideas because what he sees on TV. He didn't want to come out and say that his dusty ass grandfather is a flaming racist piece of ish. He was trying to be nice, and I need people to get over being nice, regardless of if that's your family member or not. If they're doing something wrong, they need to be held accountable, because usually people like that, when they were rearing their children and teaching their grandchildren, they would tell them, you need to do what's right regardless. But then the crazy thing is, people want to cover up for their family member, spouse, children, and all of that when their family member does something wrong and they don't want them to be held accountable. That is so contradictory to what you teach the children, which further let me know you don't give a damn about kids. You don't. It almost seems like you despise their existence. But to do this to somebody standing outside of your door, I can imagine him looking around, waiting, like, what's going on? Maybe looking at his phone even, not paying attention, and he's just standing there. This crazy psycho fool coming up with all of this dumb shit in his head about this young boy. And like I said, you don't have to be doing anything except existing and breathing, and they see that skin tone and they see shit that's not happening. They will create a narrative in their head. What are you scared of? There has not been a black person who has went on a rampage and say, in the name of my ancestors, I'm going to get some get back from anybody who's colorless. It hasn't happened. So what the hell do you have to be scared of? That's your guilty ass conscience telling you your ass is dead wrong. This nation, these people here, you're dead wrong for what the F that you did, and you have not paid what's due. And you're going to pay the easy way, or you're going to pay the hard way for what you've done. When they see black people, it is a reminder of the truth. And you know what they say, the devil hates the truth. But I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you think about what happened to this poor 16-year-old boy. And I will see you in the next one.